I was lucky enough to stumble onto my research site, the New Elizabethtown Community School. It's a small, single-round, which means only one grade level, one class at each grade level, pre-K to 6 school in a rural setting in the northeastern U.S. The preschool serves a surprisingly diverse group of children who live in this tiny town, and that means everything from rambling 19th century farmhouses to trailer homes to a few very expensive eco-dwellings nestled together on steep, winding roads that are knee-deep in dirt and ice and mud right now. The village library and municipal building do not have running water or flush toilets. Power outages are common. There are no retail shops, no streetlights, and a few stop signs. Without either zoning or oversight, most people raise a surprising array of farm animals on their properties, and still others hunt the local fauna such that they begin winter with a freezer full of venison and wild turkey. But this is hardly Mayberry. At the time of data collection, the NECS preschool enrolled 13 children between the age of 3 and 5, 9 of whom were white, 2 African American, 1 Latino, and 1 Southeast Asian. Over half of the children received financial assistance as designated low income, and 1 child was diagnosed with significant cognitive disability. 5 children identified as male and 8 as female. Most children attend full time, so that's 8:30 to 3:30 Monday to Friday, with the exception of a half day on Wednesday. Considering that most rural families historically opt for family or home-based care for preschool-age children, the fact that nearly all village preschoolers attended NECS was testament to community ownership and support, as well as its very low subsidized fees. The school was open to New Elizabethtown residents only, and the friendships and familiarities that were developed between the children and the school personnel are long-lasting. So it was not uncommon, given the stable nature of enrollment, for children to graduate from 6th grade having known every single classmate since they were 3 years old. The teachers in the classroom, Joya and Patty, are both white females who'd been working in this community for a decade and had careers in early childhood for lasting 20 years, or longer in Patty's case. The preschool curriculum can best be described as a child-centered project approach with close to 2 hours of free play exclusive of recess or other outdoor time every day. Despite the head teacher's philosophical preference to the contrary, she was required to use one prepackaged character education curriculum purchased and mandated for the entire school. According to its promotional materials, this emotional learning, which is a pseudonym program, provided social emotional skills, emotional management, problem solving, and had lessons like paying attention, staying on task, following directions, identifying angry feelings, calming down, things like that. The lessons are facilitated using scripted laminated placards and puppets. And this turned out to be important later on, as we will see, so hold on to that. So the analyses presented in this paper are from the first year, so this is 2012 to 13, of an ongoing project at NECS. These data were collected primarily through participant observation during morning play, so approximately 4 hours per week for an overall total of approximately 10 billion hours of sitting in block area, tracing children's hands and pretending to eat plastic food. In actuality, I'm now approaching close to 500 hours in preschool, and the analyses I'm talking about today are from just the first 180 hours. In addition to free play observation, I also interviewed teachers and parents and collected documents and did analyses. In keeping with Davy's recommendations, I did not use audio or video recording to collect data in these sites. Rather, I had a small notebook in which I recorded all of my observations for immediate transcription. And despite my similarity to a teacher, and for a very young child, any female adult in a building is automatically a teacher, I was cautious to never be involved in mediating children's disputes or enforcing classroom rules. While children in the midst of some act of mischief might look at me with great guilt in their eyes, they came to expect that I would not interfere. This became difficult when they would injure each other or were particularly cruel, so I just had to, hold on. As I collected data and transcribed my field notes and cataloged them along with other artifacts, interview data, researcher journal, data analysis was ongoing and took some cues from a grounded theory technique as well as a low inference code book. I used a lot of triangulation of findings, which usually meant asking both a preschooler and a teacher if my interpretations were correct. I want you to know that I locate my work in the interpretive tradition of the ethnography of childhood that positions children's culture and childhood as, quote, an independent place with its own folklore, rituals, rules, and normative constraints within a system that is unfamiliar to adults and therefore best revealed through research. And that's from James, Jinks, and Prout. James and colleagues continue that this orientation towards children and their culture can affirm children's agency, intentionality, and provide the tribes of childhood with the status of social worlds, ensuring that such a form of child life can begin to receive detailed annotation. However, it also risks the facile and the cute, generating whimsical tales rather than descriptive accounts, and further disadvantaging children with the researcher's own adult nostalgic projects. James and colleagues further cautioned the ethnographer of childhood to avoid allowing one's understanding of children's culture to be used as a mechanism for enhanced control. And I think this is important as I study naughtiness. They write, the ever-looming panopticon may explode into fruition once the interior and the ontological become readily available. So I attempted to tread cautiously throughout this project, keeping in mind these caveats, as well as those presented by my own location as a former classroom teacher and also a parent of 3 young children. I was able to gain access to the site because of previous connections with the teacher and my familiarity with her classroom practice, and that relationship and my stance as an ethnographer made me an unobtrusive visitor. As noted above, I was very, very careful to avoid being classified as a teacher, but in my interactions with children, I knew I would never be, nor would I want to be, a peer. To attempt to enact the role of a child, or even a very large grown-up child, would create obvious problems of trust and feasibility. As such, participant observations were modified by my position. I adopted the strange role of the researcher as a special species of adult. My notebook, in particular, was a site of interest. Children frequently asked me what I was writing and were interested in also writing things down on small pieces of paper, pretending to be Sally doing research. Some older children had questions about what I was doing, and I would answer that I was interested in children and wanted to learn about the games they play because children's games are very important. Later on, children began to consider the weight of writing things down with multiple requests that I write down what was happening, that so-and-so was not allowed to play, or other things of great importance.